Kathy McAllister, T-Wife Creations. So I have another window box insert or breadboard display, and this is, of course, Mr. Santa Claus himself. There you go. So really, it's very straightforward paint, unless you want to go non-traditional and have, him in purple clothes and pink trees or whatever, but it's pretty standard. I never use Tuscan Red. I don't know why, but I did notice that it's, this is a Chris Howard Sawdust Makery design, and I noticed that she uses Tuscan Red on some of her Santas and Christmas reds and stuff. So I was going to do the red today in Tuscan. The birds, I'm going to try Calypso Blue and Turquoise. All right. And then the trees, I'm going to go more traditional. I often do colors more like this, which is thicket. Colors that are kind of blue-green. That one's kind of blue-green with some gray. But I'm going to go more traditional and pick up some colors that are brighter greens. Fairway green, mistletoe, festive green, I think was the other one. Festive green. Okay, so, whoopsie. So colors like that, and then come back in shade with, there's black green, which is very dark. Oh, can't really see these colors. Move them over here. All right, black green may be too dark. Forest green, which I'm kind of liking, and then there's always the plantation pine, which isn't quite right. I'm gonna reject that one. Okay, so I'm gonna go with that, and I might get some burnt umber or traditional burnt umber, espresso, asphaltum, one of those colors. Let me just, I think asphaltum has, well, that's okay. Asphaltum might work. Let me see. So that's espresso. That's a little lighter. And I was looking for the burnt umber. So that's burnt umber. So I'll be shading with one of those. Espresso looks a little light. Okay, I'm rejecting espresso. So it'd either be asphaltum or burnt umber. Asphaltum is darker. Burnt umber has a little bit more red in it. So we shall see. Okay. And, there's a bit of yellow or gold on the star, white for all those other bits and pieces. So I'm gonna start painting. I'm gonna get ready. Okay. Alrighty. So I have my Tuscan Red, and I'm gonna roll the color. And all these bits here that are going to be white are actually separate pieces. So you can go ahead and cover the whole back piece red and not have to worry about areas that are going to be white. So I also think that this sign, the sign piece that slips into the display area on the breadboard, I think that should also be red. Because there's a pop of red with Santa, but then everything else is kind of green and white, and I just kind of want to tie in the red from Santa somewhere else in the design. So I am going to do this red. And so I'll dry this and do one more layer. Because sometimes these little pieces have warpage when you paint one side and not the other, you probably want to go ahead and apply paint to the back of the sign piece as well for because of the warpage. So you don't need 2 coats, you just need the one, and that should get it to level out again. Okay, so for the sign I want it to be a bit sparkly, so I'm going to add on this Glamour Dust Sizzling Red onto the sign. And I'm just using my dirty roller, not changing anything out. So that immediately gives it a lot of sparkle. Okay. It really only needs 1 coat of that. So it's got tons of sparkly going on there. I've gotten base coating done, so I think it's pretty much everything. I don't normally use toffee as my skin color. I just thought I would try it. I'm going to do some dry brushing on these pieces, and I need a blush color as well. Let me pull one out. Hold on. I'm going to use one of my soft blending dry brushes, the Dynasty 200. I own so many of these now. I just keep ordering more and more and more because I just really like them. So you have to be careful because they are blenders as well as dry brushers. So sometimes you can get too much paint. So you just have to be careful. All right, so the toffee is definitely darker than I was expecting. So I'm going to use a little bit of natural buff to just add some highlighting. Okay. So one side is going to be darker and the other is going to be lighter on the nose piece. So we're going to put some lighter. And same with the hand. I don't know which way this goes off the top of my head. Oops. Piece of wood trying to hang on there. So, okay, so it goes that way, I believe. Yeah, it goes that way. Some lightness in there as well. So it's not just one tone. Okay. Easy peasy. And now we need a little bit of blush color. I'm using Vintage Pink. So many colors that you can use for blush. So if you are worried that you might have too much paint in your brush, come in, land lightly, lightly swirl until you're like, oh yeah, okay, that's good, that's good. It's probably more cheap color than he needed, but that's fine. That is fine. Okay. And probably come back with a little bit of the lighter color again on the nose. Just on the nose area. Okay. Easy, easy. And we can even come back and do a little bit of that lighter mix right into the cheeks. Okay. And I might even just want a little bit, just a little bit in there. I am going to come back with my lighter blue too. Yeah, I don't know if I wanted to do that. I've got turquoise. I need to come in and lighten. I should have just stuck with the turquoise. All right. Now, these brushes, they always say with dry brushes, don't wash them. You don't want them to have extra moisture in them. But I have found with these Dynasty 200s that if you really suck out the water, that they're fine. They're not the same as some of the other dry brushes. Okay, so this was Calypso Blue. So the base coat was Calypso Blue, and now we're going to turquoise. It used to be called Indian Turquoise. I still have an old bottle somehow. I think it's because I had bought a number of them when I first ordered them, and I just haven't gotten through them. So my next bottle will just say turquoise. Okay, so the wings kind of towards the top. So we still have to do a shading color on the bird. Okay, I'm going to just come in and lighten that up. And again, because you sponge or roll, you always get a little bit of a texture with your paint, and that works really beautifully when you're dry brushing, because it will pick up, when you do dry brushing, it will just pick up the texture. There we go. I mean, if we want to come back with a little bit of vintage pink now that we've done some lightening up, let me just see what it looks like. Just a little bit right in here. Some birds do have a little bit of a red breast. That just makes it kind of interesting and different. Okay. I need to do some white across the top as well. Now these brushes dry really well in between colors, but they do take a little bit of adjustment if you're used to using traditional dry brushes, which are, you know, hog's hair, really bristle, hard. These are really different than that, so you have to kind of play with them until you get the wetness and the dryness correct. So I'm I'm just going to drag that across the top so we have a little bit of white highlight. I don't know. Don't know if I like the way that looks. Don't know. I'm going to go back to some turquoise here. Just want to blend that a little bit better. The white was a little bit bright and a little bit wet on my brush. That's okay. Okay. And we need to add in a little bit of shading. Oh, I put too much on my palette. Hate when I do that. Okay, so I think we determined that this is the bottom. So we're going to concentrate more of the shading towards the bottom, sort of going up a little bit. And then the nose, this is the bottom. And then we'll put some on the face. I need to put more on the face. Should be good. So we can put a little bit underneath where the hairline is. So it's a small area and it's got a lot going on. Shading and highlighting and blushing, and we'll see how it looks. And we need to add in some eyes. So you can just do black eyes if you want. Or the other thing we can do is we can add in a little bit of this let's use the turquoise. We're going to add in a bit of that. Okay, and that has to completely dry before we do anything with it. And we do need little black dots on the eyes here. See if I can find a thin stylus for that. Okay. Just trying to avoid having to put the black out on my palette, but I may still have to do that. Okay. Little black dots here and there. Okay, there you go. Ooh, I'll have to turn over there. So we can add in a touch of a little bit of orange on the beak. It doesn't really matter what orange you choose. I'm gonna grab a little bit of this very bright jack-o'-lantern because it was handy. So I'm gonna just put a little color at the bottom there. And those are the touches that make a difference. Oh, I guess I can do the star too. Okay. So we're gonna, I think that was a little wet. And we might do something fancier with this later, but it's a start. I think it needs a little bit more orange. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Easy peasy. This is a really easy piece to do. Very traditional kind of colors and painting. I like them. I like that. I put that vintage pink there. I think that really makes it look different, look special. Okay. Now, that Calypso is a really pretty color. I like it. Okay. Put the Calypso away. We got lots of trees we have to do. All right, this is getting there. It's getting dry. So, let us see. I did the blue. Now I just need to add in a little bit of black. So, okay, black for the pupils. I'm just thinking in my head here about something. All right, I'm gonna just use a stylus, and I'm gonna come back over here. Oh, I should have reloaded. There we go. So he's kind of looking askew, and then we'll need white dots on that as well. All right. So for the fur, okay. First of all, we need to come back with our Tuscan red and put in alternate stripes. So, let's see what brush I have that works for this. So the Tuscan Red has blue in it. I always tend to go with much warmer reds. This one though has really good coverage, and it's very, I don't know, it's just a bright, happy red. And it works really good because with the greens that I've picked, I'm not using muted greens, I'm using bright, vivid greens. So you need a bright, vivid red to go with it. I just went outside the line. And that would be very hard to fix without messing up the white area. So I may just have to live with that, being slightly out of the boundaries there. But that's okay. I am not a perfectionist. I love details, but I am not into perfection. So I'll have goofs, and I'm like, well, you know it's homemade. Yeah, I like the Tuscan Red. I think I might use it more often, depending on what I'm doing. You know, if you're using a lot of oranges, I think it'd still work good with oranges. It is pretty. And on the camera, it's like really bright. So, I guess I will still use my either espresso or espaltum. I'll go ahead and use espresso for shading. So the beard is going to go here, and you're wanting to shade under the beard. Oh, look what I just did. Somewhere that came from. That was bizarre. I don't know how I did that. I guess it must be on the paint bottle. So the line is not as far down as where this is going to go. So when you paint up to the line with your shading, you actually are going to have to walk it down a bit. So with your shading, kind of be free. I think a lot of people can get hooked into doing the, following the line, but you can be a little choppy, especially when you're trying to walk it out. And sometimes that makes it easier for people when they're shading, if they're not confined to like drawing a line somewhere, that they can kind of do this choppy motion and bring it across while still walking it out. So I'm just kind of going choppy. Okay, and we also need to see where the candy cane is going. Doing some shading around the candy cane. And again, I'm using espresso, but you can use really whatever your preferred shading color is. You could even go like Payne's Gray if you wanted to. Asphaltum. So I think I will also do some shading in here. And you know, the other thing you could have done is like, you could have used like a red, like a Rookwood or a Napa red or something like that instead of a brown. Let me see where the candy cane is going. Or a heritage brick, I think that's another color. We could have done something like that, but I didn't. Okay, I need to get a little bit in here. And you can even like double shade. So if you want it to come back with a bit of heritage brick or something, you could do that. So maybe Napa red. Let me just see. It's got a little bit more purple in it. I'll go back over that with the brown, but I just wanted to see kind of what it looked like. It's not probably dark enough. But I am going to see what it looks like on my candy cane, because that's much more translucent application. But I think that Tuscan red is pretty dark, so this, what is it, Napa red is not picking up as much because Tuscan is already pretty dark. I did not want to get that on my white. So it does show up a little bit here. It's not overly strong, but I'm just not sure I want brown in this area. I think the heritage brick would be great if I could find it. And I'll come in with a bit of lighter color as well. So I'm gonna continue with my espresso. fiery red. So, neon fiery red. Oops. Out of the line on that too. So, if we want a little bit more brightness in our Santa, so I floated that on top, but we can also like do a bit of dry brushing with it. So let's see, just to kind of go in the center of the Santa suit. And that's going to just pop it a little bit. And I'm going to come back up here where I floated, and I'm just going to add in a little bit more. That was not dry there. Oh well. Okay. Nice. Nice, nice. Okie dokie. That neon fiery red is like magic. It's magic stuff. Okay, so now the question is, on the beard and the hat, got to think about what shading colors will work. Okay, let's see. Oh, I can put dots in the eyes. Get a stylus and some Snow White, and since I already have him looking off that weird way, I'm just gonna keep that up so he's looking off to the left, right. Okay, so now we've got some stuff to, I'm gonna worry about Merry Christmas later because I'm not sure yet how I want to do that. We have some items to shade, so let me move that over. Okay, so I made this decision to use a different color than I normally would for shading. I think it's Portobello. So it is kind of a mushroomy color, you know, like Portobello. So it's gray and it's tan. Because I wanted the beard not to be, you know, normally I use gray on shading the beard, or sometimes a brown, but I don't know. I wanted something a little different, and I wanted it to be fairly light. So I'm going to try this Portobello. And then I'll do the fur in a different color. So I don't want the hair and the fur to be the same tone. The shade, I want it to be different, so that it says I am fur versus I am a beard. Alright, I don't know. Keep getting stuff everywhere. Okay, and I'm just going to do the entire perimeter. I just thought this was a little bit warmer than like a cool gray. I wanted something that was warmer without it being, I wanted it to still be a gray. So I didn't want to go with like a honey brown or a sable brown or something like that, or even a toffee. I wanted it to have a smidge of gray. Alrighty, so I came back with a sponge, and sometimes when you start to get kind of a little bit too much of a mottled look and you want to blend it back, you can use a color wash of white, or you can use a sponge with some white, and you can just kind of go around and even out some of the areas that don't look smooth. So that's what I did with that. Okay, so the fur, I was kind of going back and forth between crystal blue on the fur, which would be kind of reflecting the snow and those conditions, or cocoa. And I don't know. This is one of those questions, if I was doing a live session, I would ask you guys what color to go with, because I don't want, if I use the cocoa, I don't want it to be confused with what's going on here. I don't know. But blue and fur, well, I don't know. Because often when you're doing snowmen, you do a light blue on the snow surface. Yeah, that's that's looking more like what you would use with a snowman. That doesn't look like fur. Okay. Nix that idea. So I'm going to use the cocoa. So crystal blue is a beautiful color to use with snowmen, but not hat fur. All right. And you don't necessarily have to do all around the perimeter. You can just do it at the bottom and the sides. I'll let that dry. Probably do another round. And same with this. It's really going more towards the bottom. You don't need it at the top. So that's good. Okay, so how is this starting to look? Oh, I guess he needs his face. Put his face back in here. Oops, that goes there. I'm getting confused about where the bits go. Okay. Cute. All right. Now I'm looking at it, and you know, there's this contrast going on, slight fight going on, so I don't know whether I should come back with a little bit of blue just to say that the fur is definitely different. I didn't make a mistake in doing this one color and that a second color, so I don't know. Let me come back with a little bit of blue and just see if I just add in some of it here and there. It makes it a little different. So you have those two colors working together. I kind of like that combination. I'll do that. All right. So Santa is mostly done. I mean, I have to do some little floats and white strokes and highlights and that kind of thing. So now we need to look at our tree. And we will be doing the back one a little bit darker than the two front ones. So mistletoe, festive green, and fairway. Where's fairway? Fairway. Okay, so that one is going to be the back. Fairway is going to be the back tree. I always prefer sponging these pieces because you get a texture, but this one, you can't really do that. Is there another piece that goes on top? I'm missing a piece. Hold on a second, I gotta check. No, sometimes you get like pieces that overlap, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So if you're trying to do these two different colors, you do have to be a little bit more careful around this tree. See, there's a little tiny piece that didn't come out. I need a tool to poke that out. All right, so this color again is Fairway Green, and then I'm going to use Festive Green or Mistletoe. Either will work. Very, very, very close. That one is Festive. I think I'll go with Festive. So I'm going to use Festive on these two outer trees. So I'm going to take a moment and do some base coating, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, so I've got that done, and I need to go ahead. I can shade the Festive with the Fairways. So the Festive is the lighter color, and Fairways is the darker one. So I'm going to go ahead, and that will tie the two pieces together. So it's not a big jump in color. So with this, we're going to come in with a little bit of forest green and shade it to send it a little bit more to the back. I could have probably even gone darker, like a black green or a plantation, but it's good. It's fine. Just want it to be a little bit different. Okay. Yeah, that forest green is not that much of a jump for sure. I think I'm going to come in and do some needle stroking. Okay, so I'm going to take a bit of the Fairways, which is darker. I need to get a lighter color too. So I want Irish moss or let's see, sour apple. Irish moss or sour apple. Okay, so I load it with the fairways, and now I'm going to take a bit of the sour apple. I'm going to work these together just a little bit. I'm just going to start adding in some needles. Reload with fairway, dip the toe into the sour apple, condition it a little bit. Go into the fairway, dip into the sour apple, condition it. All right, continue fairways, dip into the sour apple, condition it on your palette. So you have to use an angled brush to do this because of the way that you're dipping the toe in the lighter color. So the darker color goes all over the brush, but the sour apple lighter color goes only on the tip. And then for this one, we're going to use the forest green as the base, and we're going to start with the festive green, which is this color, the base color of this tree. So again, it's forest green is the dark bit and festive green is the lighter bit. And so you dip it in the forest green, the darker, and then the festive on the toe. You blend it, and you do the same. Okay, forest green is the base, festive green on the toe, blend it or condition it. You want to continue to see that lighter color on your toe. All right, there we go. And when it's dry, you can repeat some of that process if you want. If you want to go back in and add more needles anywhere, or if you like it the way it is, then you can keep it that way. Okay, so I'm gonna dry this and then try to figure out what I want to do with it next. All right, so I added in a few extra needles, And now I want this shade where the trees meet to be darker. So I'm going to take black green, which is a little bit too dark, and the forest green and black green. Condition it on your palette. And come in here just to definitely make this darker. A real division between those two trees. Okay. Anywhere you feel like you want it to be a slightly darker shade, like going around here. So just make that a little bit darker where it's meeting Santa. Okay, there we go. That's probably good. So, now, whether to add in snow or snow floats where you are coming in with a little bit of white. So you can always use like a texture paste, like a glitter text or something like that as well. I'm going to see about if we do a float, what it looks like. I think I'll do a splatter on the trees. Move my other little bits out of the way so I don't end up splattering them. Oh, here are my wings. Okay, let me see about splattering. Okay, splatter brush. I gotta find my splatter brush. Okay, I got my ginger brush, splatter brush. bit up there that didn't get any. All right. A little bit of white splatter. And we could have put like dots as well. Snow dots here and there. Cool. Snow dots are not to dot. I don't know. Again, if I was doing this live, I would ask you guys, snow dots or not to dot? Here we go. Let's add a dot. Let's just dot it up. Oops. What? it's not dotting. How many times do I have to go over that spot and it's just not dotting? There we go. That was weird. Okay, it's probably good enough. Probably more dots than I needed. Okay. So, what am I left with? Besides the sign, of course, which has to be done. Okay, let me dry this. All right. So that is me for tonight. I'm gonna work on the sign that goes underneath tomorrow, and also just add in any extra little highlights or whatever I think I need. So, okay, well, thanks for watching today, and hopefully I will finish the rest of it and you'll see a finished product. I'll take pictures and attach them to this video. But this is Kathy McAllister, T-Wife Creations. Thank you for dropping in to watch. Bye.